So, hello everybody here and the ones following us through Instagram. My name is Ana Anacleto. I'm the curator here at Rama Studios, the residencies in Maceira and Alferia. This conversation today will be in English due to our international audience present here at Rama and also through Instagram, so I hope you all can hear us. I would like to thank all of you for the presence today, for receiving us, for showing us your work. I would also thank Paulo Brighenti for this invitation to be the curator following the works of the artists here. And above all, I would like to thank Rui for his presence and for his generosity, for being
likewise
for being here today, visiting, and also going through all the works and the processes that are being developed here. I would like to just make a small presentation, a small short introduction to Rui's work. So Rui Calçada Bastos was born in Lisbon in 1971 and during his youth lived in Macau for several years. Returned to Portugal and studied art at Escola António Arroio, where he took part of Pedro Moraes, a very special project called Atelier Livre. Pedro Moraes was an artist, as we will probably see during our talk, that profoundly influenced Rui as he was trying to figure out which kind of artist he wanted to be, or at least in which directions or in which way he would lead his work. Let us also retain this idea of travel, of someone who spent part of his first years in a foreign country, in a very distant continent, in Asia. This is also something that, as we will see, influenced Rui's work since the beginning. So Rui Calçada Bastos' work focuses on urban landscapes, objects, shapes and situations that would perhaps be overlooked at first glance. Working with and in the cities he has passed through or lived in, the artist explores details, memories, gestures and urban narratives as possible sublime glimpses. Through photography, video, sculpture, painting, and installation, he develops his themes in a poetic way, confronting the spectator with a self-referential view. Today, after just this being said, I invited Rui specially to speak about two projects, his most recent projects. One still on at Galeria Bruno Murias in Lisbon, a solo exhibition titled Words Don't Come Easy, and another project he did in collaboration with António Júlio Duarte for the last edition of Arcos Fair. So I would like to perhaps start with the exhibition
in the gallery.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, those here and those there. I'm gonna go straight to this because this technology allows us to be around 60 minutes on. So, in order to be able to make it fast, to understand my exhibition at the Galeria Bruno Murias, I would like to start showing you where does it all come from. So I'm going to start with the work which kind of gave origin and touched the point of. So as Ana mentioned, Pedro Moraes was one of the most important beginnings of my artistic practice. And he passed away 2 years ago. And while I was living in Asia, I was a teenager, and he was already in my life, and we would write letters to each other. Letters that I didn't understand because I was a 14-year-old kid and he was a 50 or 40 something. So when he passed away, I kind of had the need to reread the letters that he wrote me to Macau, and finally I understood those letters, but he was dead already. So I thought, okay, maybe I need to respond to him in my way. So I made this piece called Correspondence with Pedro Moraes, and it's just envelopes, and it's a mountain, kind of two mountains, because in one of his letters he mentioned, he told me something like, your shape is like a mountain and a valley. There is no shape like yours, because yours is like a mountain and a valley. So I was 14-year-old, I could not understand this, but of course today I kind of understand that he's talking about the uniqueness of each human being. So I kind of answered with this mountain and valley to him, and the material that I painted with is vieux chêne. Vieux chêne is the only material that we had in this studio that I used to work with him and many other colleagues. Of course, there's many other stories, but I'm trying to go a bit overall to have time to talk about everything. So this idea of the envelope started to show up in my work, which I developed, and so this piece is called Correspondence with Pedro Moraes, and then I realized, okay, so if I'm able to communicate with an artist that was important to me, why not communicate with many other artists? So I started to make a correspondence with, in this case, Donald Judd. So it's a correspondence with Donald Judd, and here I started to do something that I started to include a letter to Donald Judd, and there's a letter inside one of these envelopes that only me knows where it is.
And which contains
a letter from me, and I'm not going to mention it's between me and the artist. So as the artist is not here, but it's a letter. It's just one sentence. So, and then I developed this. I kept on going. So basically, I was corresponding myself with artists that I kind of either admire, either relate with. This is Ligia Clark. So that's correspondence with Ligia Clark. And then the next one, Malevich, that's the black square of Kazimir Malevich. And then, so this was, I made a series, of course, Mark Rothko, that's like 2 meters some high, they are quite big pieces. I don't know if in Instagram you are able to see the scale, but and then there is a fontana. This fontana is not a classical fontana because it's not the one with one cut. It's the one with there's actually a documentation where he's kind of stabbing the canvas. I thought it was more interesting than just the classical fontana. And then which one you were saying?
Paul Klee.
Paul Klee. Yeah, well, there's this Paul Klee, which is a very kind of faded Paul Klee, but this is one of the first ones. It's made with different envelopes, no spray. It's just the old envelopes which were burned in the sky, in the daylight, and I kind of made them a little. It's a very subtle kind. I would call him painting.
You made no intervention directly.
No, in this one I did make
envelopes.
No,
just select them.
Yeah, not in this one. The others I did.
Okay.
And then one which doesn't exist because I destroyed it, but I photographed, is the Josef Albers, but I didn't like it, the final. So I think this was the second confinement, but I did all this. That's Frank Stella. That's the correspondence with Frank Stella. And
so you were doing like this archive, this atlas of
correspondence.
correspondences.
Correspondence that artists that I kind of relate somehow or are in my imaginary since I study art. And of course there are many others that I would love to, like there's one which is not a very obvious one, which is Brancusi.
Yeah.
And I kind of made this Brancusi.
Beautiful.
Kind of reminds the
Column.
The column of Brancusi. Actually, this one was one of the first ones. And they all have this letter.
And all these envelopes came from where?
I started because when I realized that I have like a big mission here and I need a lot of envelopes, I started to search and I found this woman in the north. She kept the storage of thousands. I'm talking about 12,000 envelopes from a factory from I think her grandfather that he closed the factory, and she kept the envelopes and she put it on online. And I was really lucky. I saw the photos. It was like boxes and boxes of envelopes. I said, I want them all. So she just sent them by bus, and I was like, wow, these 12. I still have envelopes. There are two sizes: the big ones and the small ones. So, yeah. So this is basically where this. Then I did some sculptures, and then this is another one. Still from
with the
Vieux-Chêne. And then I did some sculptures with envelopes in the studio, and this exhibition, which is the reason why I'm here, called
Words Don't Come Easy.
It's kind of the normal way, or after everything that I did with these envelopes. I kind of brought the idea of envelope to these three-dimensional pieces that I did. Yeah, I did the first one, which is not on this exhibition. It's on the gallery, but it's not on the exhibition. It's this one. It started with it, which I actually did for our show in Coimbra, and this is just those tables where the ambulant sellers, they go to the fairs and they you can just bring them, you close them, you go to the market and then you just open them and so I like this portability of this table. So it's just a big envelope. I don't know if you can't see it, but the white square under the glasses, it's like a big envelope, and it's an empty envelope. So this thing that you see in the middle is just the edge of the envelope. All the rest is under the glass. There's a long story about this piece. I don't know if I would like to go on for the next ones, but if anybody would like to later, I can. So this piece I made before the show.
Yeah.
So it's the first time I use a table, and is it here? No, it's here. Okay, so here. So for the show, I wanted to develop this idea of envelope, light, image, message, sculpture, object, bring it all together in one show. It's a show with 5 pieces, very very almost nothing, and I can start to talk about this one. Okay, this I don't know if I have the right images here, but some of you already saw the show. So this, what you see there, it's 4 photographs, illuminated like this light really on the shape of the photograph, and then there's one last light without photograph. So what happened here is that I wrote a letter, and I don't know if we can say incrustated, or I put the letter inside the wall of the gallery. So I wrote a message, and what you see here is actually me opening a hole on the wall, and then I wrote a letter, folded, put it on an envelope, and put it inside the wall. So the light that you see is exactly the spot where the envelope is on the wall of the gallery. I don't know if I have more. There you go. Here you go. So here you see a bit better. So the message which is written on the letter, it says there are no walls between us. So it's a way of saying there should be no, that we should all be one. There's no walls between us. There's no separation. There's no. We should
borders.
be all. There's no borders, and that could be a message to the arts, or to you, or to a friend, or to. It's a very wide, and this message stays in the gallery. So when we remove the works, that envelope will stay on the wall, and the gallerist has the coordinates of where exactly is the envelope, just to know it's there. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the 5 pieces.
And should I ask?
Yeah, of course. Please.
If I wanted to buy this piece?
It's an edition of 3, and I'll go to your house and I leave envelope on your wall.
With the letter.
Yeah, with the letter.
Inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's now this message is universal. Mm-hmm. It's nothing so specific to the art world. It is in an exhibition space, but the message itself, it doesn't need to be. It's not a message just specific to the art world. Mm-hmm. I thought about it. I think it's universal. Mm-hmm. So if you want to have that secret on your wall, why not? Mm-hmm.
And when you thought about this work, about doing it for the first time, did you have this idea of how important the light would be?
Yes,
for the
immediately,
work?
very much. Actually, when I was thinking about this show, I thought this show was going to be all about, light design also. It's and I have no.
Because that's really a statement.
Yeah,
when you go into the
is
space, you immediately feel there's a
Actually,
determined.
This is my 3rd exhibition in this gallery, so I know the space with and without light. So I did painting. I showed painting in the Viershem. I showed installation, my first show, and this time I thought, I really want to play here with some. Not scenography, not theatrical, but something more with some light design. And I'm very happy. It's very much on purpose. The use of light. So, can I go on?
Sure.
Yeah. Hold on. Where is it now?
There.
It's here and then here.
And then
okay, and then okay. So then. It's hard to talk about this show on photographs, but let me see. Okay, so then the other work I'd like to talk about is this piece. Again, the tables. You saw this table.
Another portable one.
Another portable table. So this table, the thing is that it's makes this bússola. Compass. It's a compass. It's a compass, and the compass is like this, and then you have an envelope, and there's just the letter N, and the compass is actually pointing to the north, and that's why the letter N. I can show you here a close-up. There you go. So the thing with this piece is that depending on where you show this piece, imagine I go to Brussels and I show this piece in some other place in Brussels, the compass will not be pointing as it's pointing here, because the geographic position of this gallery is going to be different with the geographic gallery in Brussels. So I like the idea of a piece that is never complete, because it's always changing, so you never have a final form. And I kind of like also the fact that when you to look properly to the piece, you have to look with the compass pointing to you, and that means that you are your own north. In Portuguese, you have this idea that estou desnorteado, I lost my north. And I don't know, in English you also have, I'm northless or something like that. So here you are your own north. But you will have to walk around the table depending on where the table is, in which place geographically it is. So it kind of creates this game between the viewer and the position of the compass and the
it somehow has something performative,
very much. And it talks about and also touches the one thing which is all about communication, which is geography. Like where the letter goes, from where it goes to from where it goes to where it goes. So I think it's very much. There's one thing about these tables that I found recently that I didn't know my father, but I found some photographs of my father in Africa, and at tables like these, there's a photograph of a table exactly like this, the portable table with then that's where he was writing his correspondence. And I realized he was writing to my mom. She was living in Portugal, and then suddenly everything makes sense. And I didn't know that. I had the piece already done, and then I found these photographs on my family album, and I was like, whoa, this is exactly where he was writing letters to my mom. And my exhibition, this idea of envelope, and so it's just funny that suddenly everything makes sense.
It comes
together, yeah. I'm sorry if I go too fast, but I think I don't know how long.
There's a thing, there's this sense of silence also present. When you go into the gallery and find yourself with the works, each one of them, and the whole, you have this, you feel as a visitor, this sense of silence.
Yes,
words don't come easy.
Yeah, because it's I thought about this exhibition as a room of secrets. A room that you need to be like, wow, what is it really? Because it's not something clear on your face. It's not like all the lights on. No, it's the lights down, dim lights, and you have to be there and take your time and try to read behind or under the lines. How do you say? Like something not clear. I thought about giving the viewer the need of having an effort to understand exactly what, because that's the only way.
And also to spend time.
To
be there.
Yeah. The pieces themselves, they are very simple, but it took a bit to get into that simplicity. That's the piece I wanted to show you now, which this is just a balance, a scale. It's a scale. Like a scale from the real post. This is probably from the 60s. This part, and I'm going to show you on the top. This is an envelope, and I show you what's on the envelope. Jesus Christ. Okay, there you go. This is what's on the envelope. So the envelope has a mirror. I put in a mirror inside the envelope, but under the mirror there's this. Transparent, where I wrote on the other way around, so you could read through the mirror. So what says in the mirror is a quote from T.S. Eliot's poem, where he says, "Still is the unspoken word, the word unheard." And when I read this text, I thought, okay, still the unspoken word is the word unheard, meaning there is still, I thought, what echoed me was, what is the weight of the words that you don't speak, that you don't pronounce? And is it possible to measure that, the unspoken word, but still is the word unheard? So I was in, how do I do this? And I just realized, okay, let's put it on a scale. So now you can see again the image of the piece all together like this. So it's a very simple. It's not clear. I don't give you immediately the sentence. You need to read through a glass. Actually, you need to understand there's a glass inside the envelope, which is not obvious because you see the envelope. You're not expecting a glass, a mirror inside the envelope. So I make it difficult for you. On purpose, I make it difficult, but when you read it, it's kind of rewarding. You're like, whoa, it was difficult. At least that's how I
and it also produced the reflection that goes.
Yeah, that was a lucky strike, I would say.
Which was really
let me see
well.
if there is an image from that reflection. Yeah, that was a lucky. It's kind of a diamond or a paper plane. Those that you send.
With messages.
Yeah, and when I point the light, I saw that reflex. I said, wow, keep it. You know, it's just very. Then let me see what else.
But all the pieces speak to you as a visitor. They challenge your perception and your particular way of looking at things. I think.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying about when we were talking about time and spending time in the space. This is the feeling that I had. I had to go through the pieces. I had to go through the pieces again.
Yeah. Very much. It's not obvious. It's not. You have to.
It's a secret, as you were saying.
Well, you know, in a different way, there's a sentence that Joseph Kosuth used to say that you need, when you go to a show, you need to be with the art. It's not, you're not going to go there and see the art. You have to be with the art. And if you start to think, what does this mean? To be with art, it's like to give the possibility to that piece talk to you. And for that you need time and disponibility, availability. You know? So I think this is like, you know, a show where in my point of view, it's something that you need to be with it. You need to give it a chance, which more and more we don't give much chance, because if it doesn't hit you on the face in 30 seconds, then you immediately lose your attention and you go somewhere else. So here I forced you in a way, like, stay. Can I? Okay, so there's two more pieces. Where is it here? So this. Okay. I can show. Let me just say one view of the two pieces that I've mentioned. I think I've shown this before. Sorry, guys. Now here. Okay. So this piece is again a table from a portable table, but that I adapted. I kind of built this. Looks like a little bit of a high school table or something like that. But it's an envelope made out of a mirror and with two cracks, and there's a light inside. And the title of the piece is Bullet Point. A bullet point in English is a list of things. You know, when you make a bullet point, it's a list. Actually you make the black bullet. So. But there is a sentence from Leonard Cohen that kind of, for me, if I say the sentence, then you don't need to talk more about this piece, and we can go to the next one, which is, there's a crack in everything, and that's where the light gets in. So it's an envelope, there's a message, there's a light coming in. I think it's way too obvious. The only thing is, it's the only piece with the light itself. It's not projected. And that's on purpose, because in terms of light design of the space, I thought, okay, everything is projected, the pieces are being illuminated by some other light, but here the piece illuminates, and I kind of like that. Illuminates even if it's in a small dot. And
when you look for it and you go closer, you also see yourself.
Yeah, you see yourself broken,
broken
with a crack. Yeah, because that's exactly why it's a mirror, and that's exactly why it's broken, because you can't see yourself. So to end up the exhibition, there's I think it's the piece more, I don't know, it's the dematerialization of the idea of envelope. It's just envelope made with light. And somehow you see the envelope is going from left to right, or coming from right to left, as you wish. And then as I was installing the piece and see that, okay, I can read this from left to right and right to left, I started to think about the idea of a loop. When you have a loop and you have something that you, like here, you left, right, left, right. It's like as if you say, mother, then you lose sense, you lose meaning. So, and then suddenly, for me, this was not an envelope anymore. And that's exactly the moment where you lose the shape, you lose the material, and that's the target of it. It's the dematerialization of the message of the envelope. It's something which is in the air, probably. It's just light.
And that
light.
Doesn't exist if there's no light.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's the I don't know if it's the fifth piece. I cannot put them in order, like, oh, this is the first or the second, because they were all thought as a whole, you know, like as the so-called room of secrets. So this is it.
And while you were doing and preparing this show and working on these pieces in your studio, you were doing other.
I was secretly painting.
Yeah.
Because it's a long story. I mean, do we have time? Yeah. Yeah. I was secretly painting, meaning some of you guys know that my mom was a painter and she passed away a year and a half ago, and I was the responsible of gathering all of her paintings. We have 4 brothers and sisters, and I'm the only artist. People say, Rui, take care of the patrimony in terms of the paintings. And it took me, I don't know, a month, and still is taking, to gather all the paintings. And you are grieving. Your mom passed away, and I studied painting in the School of Arts, but I never showed in Portugal. Back when I was a kid, I had a little.
In Macau?
But in Macau, I showed some painting, but I was a kid. So, but then I did my studies in painting, and I never really actually showed, besides the show at the Bruno Murias, which was already a little bit the paintings in Viochan, but this time I decided to start to paint in secret, oil on canvas, like the real thing. And of course, even if you studied, you need to. We had this conversation with Paulo. Like even if you have the knowledge of the study, until you reach something, you need to find your voice. You need to recognize the tools. You need to know again what's a canvas, what's a brush. So I did all that process by myself. I didn't show to anybody. But I think 6 months later, I invited Bruno Muniz, my gallerist. And I said, I'm painting. And he was like, what are you doing? He said, oh, this is what I'm doing. And he was, I trust him very much. And he was like, okay, there's something here.
So let's see.
Go on. And while I was thinking about the show at the gallery, I was still painting and painting. Because for one reason, I realize now that painting was a way of being with my mom. It was just that moment of painting somehow was. I actually started to look at her paintings with completely different gaze, with another. 1 year later.
Learning from her.
Also learning very much. So 1 year later, painting, I had another meeting with Bruno Murias, and he he was like, whoa, this is different, all right. So we started to have a bit of a brainstorm, and he spotted some kind of similarity in the temperature of my look or my way of looking at things and the work of a great photographer, António Júlio Duarte, a Portuguese photographer. And he was the one who spotted that kind of, and I was like, whoa, would you like to call António to your studio and let's have a talk and see if we can do something together? I was like, really? Okay. So António came and he was like, yeah, I'm in. And that's how we spent, 5-6 months before the art fair, which is a kind of weird place to do the premiere, because a fair is a fair. You just put one piece of these, one piece. So we decided, let's not do a booth of a gallery as every other booth, but let's make a special project for an art fair. It's way more interesting for the viewer to come to a fair and see, like, whoa, these guys, they have something special, instead of a little popcorn here, a little popcorn there. That's what a fair is. So I can show you some of the paintings, although I warn you, paintings on JPEGs are not. The painter is. I'm not an amazing. No, but in JPEG you don't see the materiality.
Yes,
you don't see
the layers and all the.
I don't have the photos of António Júlio Duarte, which my work related. Actually, let me just talk about the process. Since we decided to do this collaboration, I said, okay, I don't want to look at your work while I'm painting, because then I will end up making some redundant illustration. I knew his temperature because also he's a photographer that I like and admire. But I said, now you stay away and I want to keep doing my paintings. And when I finish, and then we're going to try to look in your work what can relate with what I did. Yeah. And that's what I think it became very genuine, because I was not really illustrating. So I can show you some. Some of you guys might have seen because the fair. Where are the paintings? Are here. Yeah. Okay, so it's terrible to show paintings on Instagram. I have to say. I don't know if this was a good. It's first of all, it's kind of cut the image. Oh my God, this is. Oh my God, they are all very cut. This is not. Wait here. Wait a second. This one you can see, yeah. So what I did, I was based in some of my traveling photographs, and because I also do photography.
You could speak about that.
Yeah,
about your archive and
that's
the way
the thing
this
is
location and travel.
Yeah, because the issue with my paintings, because there's a long story, so people understand why these paintings came. I didn't want to do paintings just say, oh, now Rui is painting. No, my thoughts were like, how can I, through painting, keep on showing what I do show in my work. Like, how do I show a continuity of my work, but in painting? The issue was not so much, oh, who is a painter? No, it was like, who is now doing this in painting? And I need something to make sense in terms of the rest of my work. So I thought, my photography work is very much related with the precarious situations, things that I find in travels itself, objects lost in the street, urban situations. So I started to think about these urban situations. So I said, okay, architecture. So I have some paintings that I did of houses in the United States destroyed by natural phenomena. And that's where I started to, kind of getting again the tools, like my voice was getting there. But then I look at that and say, well, this is still, it's not it. It's about the precarious, but how can I take this deeper? So I thought, okay, precarious habitation, habitações precárias. Precarious houses. And then I thought, okay, that's the cardboards from the homeless. So I started to take photographs of these structures that the homeless do with the cardboards. And I started, after taking the photographs, painting those structures. Still was not that I wanted. When I was getting closer to my subject was this precarious thing. So then I said, why not go into my photographs and start to look in my photographs some precarity. So I find this, like in Egypt, this is a little statue completely dilapidated, like broken. You can't see it in detail. So the process started to be me going to my archive of photographs, and that's when I say, okay, this is me. This is the continuity of my work, because I'm basing my paintings on my photography work.
Which is completely founded in my own gaze, in your own gaze.
Exactly. So then if you see my paintings, you will understand that this is made by the same guy who did the photographs and the videos and blah, blah, blah. So then it was, I nailed it. I think, okay, this is it. So now it's a question of, finding like which, for example, I show you one from the precarious. The image is cutting. I'm sorry, guys, but this is the only one of cardboards that I accepted. This is the photograph I took from cardboards on the street, and I kind of I don't know if you can relate to it, but it's terrible to see this on Instagram. I'm sorry, because in painting, it's the size, let me see. So this is a broken horse on this, how do you call montanha russa?
Like in a carousel.
In a carousel. And again, this idea of a broken, object which is supposed to...
It doesn't show trim. It's full.
No,
that
this
one,
one, yeah.
that one is cool, but the others one were cropped. This one is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, this is 1 meter 10 by 1 meter 10. We are seeing this in 6 by 6, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry if.
But they all have in common this kind of same palettes of colors, these same tones.
Yes, because I realized that most of the pictures that I kind of used to base these paintings were taken in Cairo,
Okay.
in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like totally desert. You can imagine the sun is at 1 p.m.
directly.
Down the dark shadow. So they all have this palette, very desertish, very brownish and greenish, and so it was a very intense process. I mean, of course, oops, here. I don't know. It's very. Which one can I show? Like this one. Oops, sorry. Okay, I don't have it.
You can't see.
Esta. Okay. That's. This is just a cable, electric cable in Cairo, and with the landscape of the desert, and so. Those who would see this booth in the fair, the relation between these images painted that I did with the works of Antonio, which are part of a book that he made in USA, in the States, and he was photographing just actually destroyed, lost, abandoned things in the States.
Yeah.
So suddenly there was this dialogue between all these abandoned things in the desert and stones and broken horses and with broken windows from Antonio with the I don't know, you didn't see because you weren't in the fair, but Paulo saw, I think, or no? Yeah. So I don't know.
And I can imagine that it should you should have like a sense of going through reality, more near reality with the photographs of Antonio, and
very much
becoming apart from reality with your paintings somehow.
Yeah. No, it was very magic, I would say, because there was a point that I would not, if I would not know I would think it's probably the same, or who is one and who is the other, and it was. I think it's very hard to find collaborations between artists where things really bound. Of course, I'm suspicious because I'm one of the artists involved, but especially working with Antonio, who is an amazing photographer.
And Antonio didn't make any new photographs for this?
Nothing.
He
had them all catalogued on this book. And then after we had the paintings, we just we didn't want to make really formal relationship, like we didn't do illustrations, but this one is probably the most similar to one photograph of Antonio, which is also a door. This is a door somehow in Macau or something. But again, I'm sorry because in Instagram I don't know how is the quality with you guys, but it's okay.
It's the same,
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. So this is it. I mean, you can see it on my website. They are in bigger quality. And
how are you usually working in different paintings at the same time, or do you start one and finish and
No. I do.
Several.
I need to make 4 or 5 at the same time. Also because it's oil, and oil takes time to dry. So if I only make one, and if I'm waiting for one to dry, I will never make 5 soon. So, you know, you just start 5 and you let them happen, and then one day you come, you work on one, and then another one, and
So
it's
like
very,
a building thing, a process that goes on with several paintings at the same time.
Yes.
And before you have them all, did you select the images before?
Yes.
Like, I have to paint this one and this one and this one.
Yes.
So you knew already.
Yeah. I actually go to my archive and decide which photos, and then make prints just to have them as a base. And then I started to decide sizes, because some of them, they deserve a bigger scale,
larger.
And sometimes you make a mistake and you imagine that you think, oh, this one should be in a big one, and then why big? You know, just make a big mistake. You just have to go small. And it's like photographs. How do you decide how big is your photograph? You know, it's an interesting discussion. Like, why do you make this image so big, and the image has just a little thing, or you know? And that's something that you learn along the way, you know, in the process.
And what do you think, if you can identify, what do you think that painting brought to your process?
Wow.
Now.
Well, it didn't brought because they were there already, but woke up a lot of issues connected with the making of an image, you know, with the composition, with color, with vibration, with relation between elements in a surface, layers, all these, they were there because I studied them, and you know, my mom was a painter, and I grew up hearing
watching
these things. But they were kind of sleep. So they just woke up, because the minute you start to work, those issues start to talk with you, and you have to be, you know, like, you know, not in an academic way, that you know, because it's beyond that. It's actually to destroy that academic sense. And also the time of a painting is great. The time of, you know, we have a painter here. Time is important, no? It's your mental time, the time of the material to dry. It's all about time. It's not something that to take a photograph, go to the lab, print it, or it's the time of all that.
And do you think that the way you paint, or the way you use painting, brings you surprises? Like, there are specific parts of the work that are not really under your control.
Well, it's very funny. It's very interesting. Since I started painting, I was reading a book from Lucian Freud, not from Lucian Freud, but from it's called The Man with the Blue Scarf, and it's the time that Lucian Freud took to make a portrait of this art critic from, I think, The Guardian or some, I can't remember his name, but if you Google it, The Man with the Blue Scarf, and there's something that Freud says, that every day we are a different person. So when you come to your studio, you are every day a different person. What you like today, you don't like tomorrow, and what you like yesterday, what you don't like yesterday. So this negotiation, it's a negotiation between who am I today, and it's very interesting. How can you, because you develop, you are always constantly evolving, and your painting, if you are genuine, it evolves with you, not in an emotional way, but in a way that how you analyze the image, how do you study that surface. The emotion is out of this equation. It's analytical. It's what's on the surface. It's what is there, and you are always a different person, like you are today. So to answer your question, there are things happening that sometimes you kind of wow, and then sometimes you are like whoa. But yesterday this was great. So what is? So you have again time and work and be in the studio.
It's not so much based on a project or a pre-programmed.
I'm not that. I know there are artists who are totally like especially like if you look at the paintings, the painters that I admire with my correspondences in the envelopes, they're all
Donald Judd.
Donald Judd programmatic, but that's not my process.
Because from what I see and from what I know from your work and for being in the studio several times, I think the exact thing happens with paintings. While you are doing all these sculptures or all these envelope pieces or all, you are always working in different things at the same time, and also now you brought painting to
make it even more complex.
even difficult.
Well, it's I don't like, for example, Antonio Julio. I think he is a photographer with a big P. That's his. But then there are the visual artists. And the visual artists, they use tools.
Disciplines as
they
tools.
use tools. They, if I want to do video, I do video. If I want to do... Now, you need to be careful with what you do, because it's not just because you're a visual artist that you can paint, and no matter what, you have to have this judgment and analysis. And for that, I always like to have people that I admire and respect. Like, we all have special people that when you are doing something that you have some doubts, you call that person and say, look, I'm not sure. Honestly, hit me. Tell me that this is bad. And I think we all have that. Some people they don't need. I admire that, but I do need, and I do have my light farol, my
lighthouse.
My lighthouses. There are 2 or 3. So yeah, I think a visual artist. I don't see myself as a photographer, video artist, or a painter. No, I'm a visual artist that work with whatever is there. So.
Okay. Does anyone has a question or something? Some kind of comment or Pedro? No?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. So yeah, we are...
Okay guys, thank you very much.
I think we are finishing.
We still have 13 survivors. Wow.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to you as well for being here, and
thank
you
you
once again.
I thank you.
It was great to have you here.
Same.
Very nice.